friends, and welcome to the Lopsided Crafter. My name is Erica, and I am your host for this little part of the internet. You can find me on all the socials as the Lopsided Crafter or Lopsided Crafter, and we do have our own website, thelopsidedcrafter.com. So it's been a little hard getting back into the swing of things after losing my stepdad, but here we go. I mentioned in the last video about the Addy dupes and that I was probably going to send those back. In all honesty, I did go to the UPS store yesterday to send them back with a little code, but I didn't notice that it said customer packaging. And honestly, for $9.99, which was the price of the crochet hooks, and then by the time I have to find packaging, it just wasn't worth it. I just decided to keep them. So maybe I'll just use them for small projects, not anything like long term, because I did like them. I just did not care for the fact that the size is going to be easy to remove. But I did decide to keep them. I did get another thing of crochet hooks. I got these while I was on my little hiatus there. This is Savitar, and they are like the furls dupes. So I've been using these for a project. If you want me to do a review on these, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to. These come in multiple sizes also, the smallest being a 3.5 and the largest being an 8mm. Then they come in this nice little case. But if you want me to go into more depth about these, please let me know. So I haven't been doing much as far as the squares since I last chatted with you. I still only have those 3 left, or 3 done. And then I just kind of set them here in this box so that they would stay together with the yarn. Because I started working on something else. I am designing a new blanket in crochet, and it is going to be different cables. And this is kind of what I've got going on right now with the different cables. This is Mary Maxim Starlet. I have a bunch of it in my stash, so I'm going to be using this for it. It is a little thick. It is it says it's a 4-weight, and it feels like a 4-weight, but it's a little bit thicker than your traditional worsted weight, in my opinion. It suggests a 5mm crochet hook, and each ball is 3.5 ounces, 100 grams, or 180 yards. Like I said, I got a bunch of this in my stash, and I've got even a couple more bags. So I'm going to be using this for it. This right here, this little bit, this is 160 row or 160 chains. This is 1 ball. That is the downside to cables. They are yarn eaters, but they make such beautiful, beautiful blankets. I don't know that I would use this yarn again for this. However, like I said, I wanted to use what's in my stash because I've got a lot of it. I'm trying to work through it. Because I just don't have the space anymore. It's becoming a little overwhelming, and especially now that we're here in the camper quite often, I definitely don't have the space here for it. So I have to pick and choose what I bring here with me, which does help me get through whips a lot quicker because I can't just say, oh, I'm going to set this down and work on something else. I actually have to get in my car and drive to change the whip. So that has been helping quite a bit. I've been contemplating, though, if I want to, and I won't take this out, but I've been contemplating whether I want to change this to a Tunisian crochet blanket with the same cables instead of this. Right now it consists of extended single crochets, front post and back post doubles, and front post trebles for the cable part. I am using the stitch markers just to separate each chart that I've written up. I have charted it out as well as written the directions for it. Tell me what you think. Would you be interested in learning Tunisian cables? I would have to play around with where the single crochets are, because I don't think, if you're familiar with Tunisian crochet, you have your Tunisian simple stitch. I don't think that the Tunisian simple stitch next to a knitted cable would look, it might look okay, but definitely not the Tunisian simple stitch and a Tunisian simple stitch cable. I think that that would take away from the cable. It wouldn't pop. Maybe the simple stitch, I don't know, because then I could do a, I'm talking out loud with you guys. For the cables, I could actually do maybe an extended double crochet. I don't know, maybe I need to swatch it, see what it looks like. But I am happy, or just maybe make the Tunisian cable the next project. I don't know. But I am happy with the way it is coming out. And if you hear noise in the background, I'm sorry, that's my grand fur baby making all this noise. Yeah. So I am happy, like I said, with the way that is coming out, and the fact that I am using up some much needed yarn stash that has been in my possession for a while. I really enjoy crochet cables. Like I said, they've really made a comeback in probably the last 3 or 4 years. We have several designers that are designing with cables, and I really do love it. Now, sometimes the instructions can be confusing, overwhelming at points, because there's so much going on, which is another reason why I write any patterns like that, I write them differently. I have ADHD, so I have to write them out, not necessarily in steps, but a way that my brain understands. So I pretty much write all my patterns that way, especially the ones that are very wordy. So yeah. I don't even remember why I brought that up. I don't know. Oh, I know, because I was just talking about, like I said, it's been really hard to get back into the swing of things. So thank you guys for giving me grace and watching the videos and coming back. And I lost all of my YouTube status in that year that I was gone. So it's been hard, because this was part of my my income. But nonetheless, I'm back. I'm getting there. It's still very raw with everything that I have been through with my family in the last couple months. But all that to say, back to the crochet pattern. So I showed you that each motif I have separated by stitch markers. So in the pattern, what I'm doing is each section has its own row. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 different cables in this pattern, 9 different cable sections. And so within that pattern, row 2 will have 9 different sections within that row so that it's easier to follow. I also am including the stitch counts for each section. If you're not familiar with cables, there are certain rows that you will be skipping stitches and other rows that you will be adding stitches. So the stitch count changes on every row. That is to allow this nice space where the cables actually pop. So this right here, this little spot right here would be a spot where we added a stitch. But then we get back up here to where we cross it again, then we lose stitches. So I think it's easier to include a stitch count for each section versus the whole row. As a maker, I make note of things that I would like to see in patterns, and then in turn put those in my patterns when I'm the designer. But I think that's about it as far as this. Tomorrow, actually today in YouTube land, I am going to be going with my friend Kara, the yarn dyer behind Run with Scissors, to Asheville, North Carolina. She is actually out of the Denver area. And we are meeting in Asheville for the annual Dean and Bean prank along. I personally do not have a Dean and Bean sock knitting machine, but Kara does. I have one from a different company. Obviously, both of the machines, the Dean and Bean versus the one that I have, they're different, but the concepts are pretty much the same. So I'm going with her. We're going to learn how to work the Dean and Bean machine. She just got one for Christmas, and we're going to have fun. I'm going to try to film some little snippets, but I'm not sure, you know, what their comfort level is for that. So I may just end up doing like a vlog of her and I. I'll have to play that by ear. But I'm excited about it. And then I will actually get to see one of the Dean and Bean machines up close. Like I said, I have one from a different company. Mine is also 3D printed, but I got mine from Bear Valley Yarns out of Canada when she was on Etsy. She's not on Etsy anymore, but I believe she does have her own website. And the cost is significantly lower than the Dean and Bean one. I'm not sure that I would get a Dean and Bean, and I'm not saying anything about that company at all. Again, we're back to this space thing, and there's just not a lot of space here for a lot of my extracurricular activities, as my husband likes to say. But it's quiet and it's peaceful, and you got to give up a little to have a little, isn't that what they say? I think that's, like I said, I think that's about it. I have not done a whole lot of crocheting other than what I did show you. I hope to get one whole repeat done. That was 8. I'm on row 8, I'm pretty sure. And there's 17 rows in a repeat. So I'm actually excited to see what this is going to look like, because charting it out, with all your cables and stuff, looks, you get an idea of what it's going to look like, but actually seeing it in person is completely different. And like I said, I am loving it. And I know it would look different in different yarns, a bulky yarn, a DK weight. Oh, it's gorgeous. If I toot my own horn there a little bit. We do still have Pearl. She's here with us. That's my cat, Pearl. P-U-R-L, like knit and purl. And then we have a new little baby. Her name is Nova. And she is also a cat. It's always good to have a cat when you are in the woods, because they help keep critters away, whether they be four-legged critters or slithering critters. We had a very long slithering critter not too long ago, like at least a 6-foot slithering critter that was in the underbelly of the four-wheeler. It was not a poisonous slithering critter, but it was a slithering critter nonetheless. And not to put anything against my husband, but I'm glad it was him and not me, because I would have wrecked said four-wheeler trying to get away from that slithering critter. But having the cats here does help keep that down quite a bit, especially now that we've been here long enough. I'm comfortable with letting Pearl in and out. She likes to run around the yard, and she'll stay out for a couple hours, and then she'll come back in, and then she goes back out. So, well, I think that's about all I've got. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you so much for watching. If there's anything that you would like to see that would help me get back into the swing of doing these crocheting and knitting videos, please let me know. Please give me your suggestions. Oh, you see the little tail? She's over there in the chair. Oh, there's Sadie. Yeah, there was a little tail. That was Nova. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, if there is anything that you would like to see, any kind of tutorials, want to see me talk about anything, certain patterns, whatever, just, put your suggestions below, and I would love to make a video about that. That would definitely help me get back into some sort of regular routine. So until next week, happy crocheting. Bye.